Hi everyone, my name is Sister Eleanor. I'm a member of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans. I'd like to welcome you today to our final talk on the 7 keys of the Teo community, 7 keys of spirituality that were given to the Teo community from Brother Sean and also through the Essenes, the Hebrews from long, long ago, the Essene community. As always, since we are a community of peace and a community that accepts all people of all faith, traditions, as well as all of life circumstances, we have our candle that is lit here for peace. So may God enlighten us today to listen to His Word, whatever and however that comes to us today, through our teachings and through the words that we listen to that are written on paper. So as I said, this is the last key. The last key is service. That's key number 7. Now, all the other keys that we've had so far, faith and simplicity and providence and integrity and all of these other keys have brought us to the final key of this, the 7th key of service. Now, we kind of all know what service is. Service is putting yourself out for another person, so to speak. Opening your heart up in love to somebody else. Trying to do for somebody else what you would have them do for you. All of these things are under the heading of service. And as I said, our talk is going to be informal. It's not probably going to be very long. It's wherever the Spirit's going to lead us today. But all of the things that we have explored so far as service, as far as the 7 principles or the 6 principles we've had before service of Teo community spirituality, has prepared us for this outpouring of ourselves. And that's really what service is. So up to this point, it's pretty much has been a relationship between yourself and God, between myself and God, trying to see what that relationship is, trying to go within and explore what it is that makes me the person that I am. What gifts do I have? What things do I need to throw away? What does God mean to me? What do I mean to God? All of these things were kind of like personal. And now, supposedly, after all of this reflection and introspection, we finally are able to know what it is that God wants us to do, what is our purpose in life. And from that, now we go to an outreach of love coming from within, from that relationship that you have between yourself and your Father, Mother, God, that relationship that has been cemented and you're still working on it. It's a never-ending process. It is a process. You can never say, oh, I've reached my goal and, I'm totally one with God. And maybe some people like Buddha and, others have achieved this, but the majority of us in this lifetime are not really going to have that total enlightenment that we hear of all the holy ones of all faith traditions having. So it is a process for us, and it goes on and on and on throughout life. A process where we rediscover who we are in God, we rediscover our relationship with God, we constantly peel away at the onion and see what's there in the very core of our being and see what we have to give to the world and what our purpose is. But there is, through the 6 keys that preceded this key number 7, there is that period of time where we have had the ability to understand what our purpose is, and now we're ready to give of ourselves. So before we start anything, since we are a faith community that is related to Francis and Clare, I want to give you 3 quotes from Francis, St. Francis of Assisi, our father, founder. The branch of Franciscanism, this branch was founded by Brother Sean, but our ultimate founder, founder and foundress is Francis and Claire. So let's have a couple quotes from Francis. Francis says, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." Another thing he says is, "I have been all things unholy. If God can work through me, he can work through anyone." And I think Sister Elizabeth talks about this, says this quote pretty much frequently. The other quote is, "It is not fitting when one is in God's service to have a gloomy face or a chilling look." And that's certainly true. How could you have a chilling look or a gloomy face when you're supposed to be helping someone else? It should never be that way. So, we're going to just explore the concept of service a little bit. But like I said, it's pretty much straightforward. It's an outpouring of yourself to another. And the other thing that I must always emphasize is that you also don't want to kind of dictate to another person what it is that you think they need. You always have to respect the dignity of someone else, and you always have to kind of see where they're at in their lives. You can't just say, "Oh, I think that he or she should have this," or "I think he or she should do that, and I'm going to help them do this." And all the time it's your agenda. You have to really listen to the Spirit of God within, and you have to really kind of actually be with that other person for a while and see what it is that they need in their lives. Just like God is not going to intrude on you, and God is not going to go and say, he's not going to go and do anything without your permission. So you should not also think that you can do something for somebody else without their permission, that you know better for them than they know for themselves. You can guide them, you can suggest, you can help them when, they say they need this or that. You can refuse to help them if you feel that it is something in your heart, you really feel that it would be detrimental. You don't always have to give everybody what they want. The old adage of, would you give a child, a pound of sugar to eat if he wants to eat a pound of sugar? Absolutely not. So we're not likening a person to a child, but it's just kind of an analogy, saying that if you feel in your heart that what this person is asking for is not for their benefit, then you have the right to refuse that. Everything comes down to what's in your heart, and what is in your heart and your relationship between your Father, Mother, God, and yourself. All of that truth comes from within. That's why we say so many times that you have to be introspective. You have to have periods of silence in your life to try and listen to what God has to say to you, and what God has to say through your guardian angel. We believe that every single one of us has an angel that guides our lives, and that guides the lives of other people. There's a practice that some people do, that they actually send their guardian angel to talk to the guardian angel of that other person. They ask their guardian angel to communicate with the guardian angel of that other person to see what's really at the heart of the matter of what is going on with the person that they're trying to help. And to see that maybe with the two angels communicating, that your angel can get back to you and communicate to your spirit what that person needs, especially if it's a very trying situation. And then again, you gently suggest to the person in need what you think may be the problem, maybe how you can help, and see how they respond. So you never sort of lord it over somebody else and say, you think that you know better, even though you may know better in some situations. But you have to leave the person come to that realization themselves, that this is for their good or it's not for their good, and they have to also follow the truth that's in their hearts. And then hopefully, even if that truth is not necessarily a good truth, maybe it's not even a truth, maybe it's an illusion, but through that they may come to a learning process that God will teach them every step of the way what is necessary for them to be the best person that God envisions them to be for their own good and for their own happiness. Everybody on this earth is called to happiness and called to a relationship between their spirit and their Father, Mother, God. That's our chief goal and our chief purpose for being here. How we achieve that purpose is all distinct. Everybody has their own way of doing this, and God has given us all a certain way of achieving this. So what we're basically trying to do with another person is help him to achieve his uniqueness in this world and to achieve his purpose and to help him have this spirit and relationship within. So let me just read you something here that was a message from Jesus, to the monastics of the Teo Interfaith Franciscan Community that was given to the monastics of the community early on. And I just want you to listen to this for a moment and just take this into your lives and take this into your spirit and see what rings true to you. But this was when the formulation of the community was just starting, and there was a lot of inspiration and a lot of messages being given. So I'm going to read this one to you. It starts out, I am the good shepherd of your souls. My dearest apostle, how pleased I am with your efforts when you remain in your heart. Shall I tell you all that pleases me when you do remain in your beautiful heart? I am pleased that you accept my words and welcome them into your heart. I am pleased because as you welcome my words into your heart, you welcome my graces into your life. Many come and go in my service, but you do not do this. You remain in my service. It will take eternity for me to show you my gratitude. When I say service, you no doubt think practically. You think of work, of heaven's work, which includes the tasks that you complete for me and for others in my name. This is good. I so badly need those who are willing to work for me. But when I say service, I want you to also think of love. You see, we need bridges built that will transport God's children safely into my heart. But the invitation to cross the bridge from isolation and loneliness to the love of God will be extended through your love and through my presence in your heart. My love will flow from you to others, and they will find out that the wounds they suffer are vulnerable to love. Wounds melt away when they are exposed to love. Love, rooted in me, is always selfless. It is quiet rather than boisterous. It waits patiently, willing to accept suffering for the greater good of the soul that's in front of it. The greater good will always be reconciliation with me, but this reconciliation between the Creator and the created is deeply personal and takes place in the privacy of the soul. Dearest children of God, you have been chosen to accept my love and to use that love to draw others back to me. I am watching closely as you struggle for greater holiness. I am watching closely as you advance. I am with you in your own suffering, and I allow loneliness for every serving apostle, because it is only through this loneliness that you understand how badly you need me in your life. Your loneliness then becomes a heavenly part in a storm of activity through which you draw graces down into the world. You see that you suffer. When you return to me forever, you will see that your suffering, accepted in my name, advanced not only my intentions, but your own. Be at peace, little apostles. I am involved in all that occurs in your life. I am with you. I will not leave you. Please return to that time when you were that innocent child, and remember to keep your own counsel. So that was a message that was given from Jesus to the earlier Teo community Franciscans. And again, it speaks of being respectful of an individual, having love flow out of yourself after having a relationship with your Father, Mother, God, and then trying to help the other person as God would help them, as God sees fit, not as you see fit to help them. As Jesus said, it is a personal thing for the individual that's in front of you. It's a personal relationship between themselves and between God, and what is good for their soul. So, yes, we can do all kinds of things. You can make meals and give them to the poor. You can do all these kinds of things. They're all so very good and very generous things, and that's all part of service. I mean, the littlest intention, the littlest thing that you do for the love of God, as we said so many times before with the life of St. Teresa, the life of Teresa of Calcutta, the life of the little flower, and so many of the saints, the littlest thing that you do when it's done out of love, Brother Lawrence said this too, is highly looked upon by God. And so you allow God to lead you in the direction that you need to go, into the direction that you need to express yourself in this life, the purpose that you have, and you allow God to direct your steps. And always listen to the Holy Spirit in your life as you help another person. When you really are, and I say when you really help another person, like I said, you can do all these things. You can work in soup kitchens, you can do this and that, and it's all well and good and it's all wonderful. But there comes that time when you're on a one-to-one with an individual, and it's just between you and that person. It's not on a kind of an impersonal level, which a lot of things are. When you're making meals for somebody, it's a wonderful thing, but it's on an impersonal level. But if you go to deliver a meal to that house of somebody, and you greet that person and give them a meal, and they start crying or something in front of you, then it becomes a one-to-one, and it becomes personal, more personal. So that's where you need the Spirit of God to intervene in your life. And you really sometimes need the Spirit of God in every instance to just talk to that person. So that's where you need your relationship with your Father, Mother, God to be primary, so that you're able to give the Spirit's words from your soul to that person who is in need, and to love them as God would love them. That's the thing. That's the main thing. To love God, to love them as God would love them. That's what you need to do. And I'm going to say that's what you need to do. I'm going to put that out there, because that is what we all need to do. We don't need to love another person with our own agenda. We need to love them unconditionally as God unconditionally loves us. That is our work in this world. That is our work in the Teo community. That is what this other 6 keys build up to be of service. We love God with our whole heart, mind, and soul, and we love our neighbor as ourselves. The 2 greatest commandments. Now, that not only is what the Teo community is about, but what other communities and what other people are about as well, ultimately. How they express it in their community is different, like it is in our individual lives. So, there's a lot of other things I could talk about. Here's one thing that I want to say to you. This is from H. Emily Cody, which is from Lessons in Truth. There must be an equal conscious receiving from the Father, Mother, God, and giving out to the world. A perfect equilibrium between the inflowing and the outgiving to keep perfect harmony. What you're given, you give away. You keep that flow going. You keep the flow of the Father, Mother's love in your life given to you, and you outpour it to somebody else. You don't just keep it for yourself. It's meant to be shared. And in sharing, you get even more back. That's not what she's saying. That was me just elaborating on that. We must each learn how to wait renewably upon God for the infilling, and then go out and give out to every creature that which we have received, as Spirit leads us to give, either in preaching or teaching or silently living the truth. That which fills us will radiate from us without effort, right in the place of life where we stand. So, I think there's another quote from St. Francis that I don't have right immediately in front of me, and I can't do it verbatim, but what he basically is saying is that when you practice, you don't preach. What you do is you don't preach with your mouth so much as you preach with how you live. So how you live and the love that you have in your heart and the relationship that you have with your Father, Mother, God will be just something that will just outpour from you. So it'll just extend outward. It'll come into you. You'll be filled with the Spirit even more so. Or rather, the Spirit's already there and you'll be open up to the Spirit even more so. And then you can open up to others around you. So that's the essence of our, it's the essence of our tenet of service. And I just want to conclude with another little paragraph too. And it says, do not wait until you think an act of kindness is significant before serving someone. Nobody is able to determine if his or her actions are or will make a great or small impact on another. Proverbs 21 in the Bible says, a horse is prepared for the day of battle, but the victory is in the hands of the Lord. Let God use you in great ways, but realize He is the one who gives the ultimate success, the fruit and the blessings. If you wait until you're asked to do something great, you might never be given any lofty opportunities. Be faithful in little things, and God will make you faithful over much. And that's from Luke 16. You may not think you're accomplishing a whole lot today, but be like a farmer rather, and realize that the seeds that are planted today will yield a 30, 60, and 100-fold harvest as God blesses your efforts. So that's another thing. Do not wait until, don't rely on your own prodding a lot of times. Listen to the voice of the Spirit within you. Don't always think that you have to do big and grandiose things. You do little things in love, as Brother Lawrence and so many of the saints have done. And then God may or may not lead you to something greater. It may be that your life will be full of doing small, little unseen acts, full of love for God, for another person. And that is beautiful in and of itself. Probably even more beautiful than doing big, grandiose acts of love or whatever it may be that everybody sees. So listen to your spirit. Listen to, have that relationship between yourself and your Father, Mother, God. And from that then will outflow love for another human being or love for another creature in this world or whatever it may be that you are supposed to be doing in this world, whatever your purpose happens to be, whatever your service is according to what God puts in your heart, according to how your uniqueness leads you. But always listen from that still small space in your heart and then go out to help others. Never letting it be your agenda, but let it be God's agenda. Let the Spirit speak to the person you're trying to help through you as prompted. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. So, I just wanted to ask for God's blessing on each and every one of us today. That as we go about in our lives, that we do things for the love of God in our lives, that we find the small silences in our lives to listen to the Spirit of God, that we come to know ourselves better and to know our uniqueness and the love that God has for us, and out of that love to help and love others, as our Father, Mother, God indeed loves each and every one of us every day, to the very utmost, without condition, and certainly without limits. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you will, I know that you will, enjoy Brother Sean's talk after mine about Lent. So thank you for just being here with me today and listening to what I have to say. And Namaste to all of you. God bless.